firstly,
Yeah.
I have to congratulate you on the launch of Absolute Power.
Thank you.
I opened it up. We have the scene with Superman, and I think I was devastated from start to finish. It's so good.
Look, Dan Mora brings the heat. If you can't tell a good story with Dan Mora, then you're doing it, or you should be in another business.
Where? Sorry, I was going
to say. So he makes everything look super dramatic.
He does. We were just literally talking about how amazing it is. He has come from nowhere,
Yeah.
and is now everywhere.
Yep, as it should be, and I'm never letting him go.
No, don't. Absolutely,
no,
never.
I will never let him go.
So take me back to the start with Absolute Power. When did this first come across your table? Where did this start from?
It started last year at San Diego when I wasn't here, and the other writers came up with the basic germ of the idea, and none of them had time to do it, and they all said, you know what, we should call Mark. We should assign it to Mark, whether he wants it or not. And so they drafted me into it, but luckily it was something I was into. So from there, the basic idea of, Amanda Waller is out there. We don't know what she's doing. And so after that, my editor Paul Kaminsky and I started putting it together. What do you do if you take away the superpowers? How do they function that way? How do they fight back? How can you make it as helpless and hopeless a situation as possible for the heroes, which I went out of my way to do, and make sure every exit is closed. There's no time. There's no time travel for them. There's no way to go into space. There's no way to go in the microverse. There's no way to go into the multiverse. I want to make sure that all those exits are closed because I want it to be completely hopeless for them at the end of issue 1.
Which, it is. It is, absolutely. When you're writing when you're writing one of the mainstream DC books, you kind of have to keep that continuity in mind. But where you are right now, you are crafting the entire of what is happening for all of these creative teams.
It is crazy, yeah.
It does that. I don't want to say does that add more pressure. That seems like a silly thing to say. But does that change your process at all in how you're breaking a story and crafting it?
Very much, because I'm working. The good news is all the writers I'm working with are very cool about this. Like many of them have already done their own events, and they understand that this is you got to be a little flexible here. But for instance, one of the things I made a point of with Absolute Power is we've all read and seen events in comics where it's the main book and then all these tie-ins that don't really matter, that you could really have missed. And I didn't want it to feel like a cash grab like that. So I crafted it in such a way where we took over Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman for 3 months. And so every writer I gave them an assignment. Here's what you do. And then here's with the Absolute Power tie-in books. Here's the assignment, and everything specifically is like a fetch quest to get something back to the main book so that all of them are important. So that was, everyone was playing along. The hardest part was just, I will be candid and say the hardest part was after I said, okay, here's what Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are doing in their books during this period, only then did I look at my own book and go, oh wait, this means they're not in issue 2.
Yeah.
Or not in issue 3. Oh my God, what am I? So we managed, but what happened there was then that means all the second stringers really got a chance to step up. Barda gets a chance to step up. Nightwing gets a chance to step up. They, all of the non-Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman characters, all the non-Trinity characters get a chance to do something big.
So I actually read issue 2 this morning, and I was going to ask you about Nightwing because he is a character. I have always loved the character of Nightwing, but and in fact, here he is right behind us. He has become so central to the DCU in the last 2-3 years under Tom Taylor. But what he is doing in issue 2 is, as a Nightwing fan, I was just, thank you so much.
This is the thing we always got to remember about Nightwing is that unlike Superman, unlike Batman, unlike Wonder Woman, he has successfully led a team for years and years and years. He knows how this works. So one of my favorite moments in that issue is when, it's Batman and Mr. Terrific are squabbling about who should lead the team, and all of a sudden Nightwing just yells, hey everybody, and takes control. And Batman goes, that's my boy. That was my favorite.
That was such a sweet moment to have that in there, actually, and that was really touching. Yeah. And when that dialogue comes in, where Nightwing starts talking from the back, I just thought, okay, this is my guy.
That's your Independence Day speech. Yeah,
it is. So, kind of coming out of the incident with Superman at the beginning of the first issue, Waller isn't just taking away their powers. She, as you just said, she's taking away literally everything, every choice.
Yeah. And including making the rest of the world believe that these heroes have gone berserk and are villains, and therefore they can't even turn to ordinary people to help them.
So where do they turn? I mean, having just read issue 2, you know, I'm thinking, where does this go next? And we still have a couple of months of this.
Yes, we do.
So I want to get into the announcement that was just made at the panel about Justice League, and I want to talk about Batman and Robin, but what can you tease about where Absolute Power is going to go?
I know, it's really hard to giving stuff away.
I know.
I think that, you know, if you... there are places, there's only one place on Earth they can go where Jonathan Kent can't find them, and that would be Paradise Island, because it's cloaked, right? And it's magically cloaked, and Kryptonian powers don't work on magic. That's the place they end up going, but they don't manage to make that a beachhead for very long. Amanda just knows everything, and she just keeps coming. So that's where it's headed. So we're basically just beating them down to at the end of issue 3, they've got no resource. At this point, they've just been stripped of everything. They have no choice but to just go after Amanda head on, because that's all they can do at this point.
That feels like that's the only option that they've got left.
Yeah.
So, right before Con, the announcement came out by Batman and Robin, year 1, very exciting. Why was now the right time for this story?
Because Chris wanted to do it. That's really it.
I mean, that works.
Yeah, I mean, it's Chris's dream project, so yes, absolutely. Anything Chris wants to do, I'll sign on to. But it's a good time because we're coasting on the success of World's Finest, so people seem to be more amenable as fans to a sort of a different take on Batman than the traditional dark, grim, mean. Everything is super dark about his world, and Batman and Robin is darker than World's Finest, but it still has a lot of light in it, just because Dick Grayson is still learning. He's been Robin for like a day and a half, and so he's still learning the ropes, and there's a lot of tension between him and Bruce Wayne, because, I mean, Bruce is a lone wolf, and Dick's entire life every night in the tent has depended upon him having a partner who can catch him. And so they've got to figure out a way to work together.
And I really liked in the press release how you mentioned that it's more of not necessarily more of, but it's a Bruce and Dick story, rather than a straight up Batman and Robin story.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Bruce and Dick get at least half the screen time as Bruce and Dick rather than Batman and Robin.
It's going to be exciting to read. I'm really looking forward to it. And then, the surprise today.
Surprise day with Justice League.
Exactly. Yeah. Justice League.
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Seeing the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Dan, obviously, you are holding on to Dan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes.
So, tell us a bit more. Again, why was now the right time, kind of coming out of this, going into the All-In and everything? Why Justice League now?
Coming out of Absolute Power, it made sense because part of the fallout of Absolute Power is the heroes realizing this may not have happened if we had not been caught on the back foot, because we haven't been talking to each other. So we need all the heroes under one tent to really watch out for each other and really go on the offensive, as opposed to just waiting back for the next supervillain to attack. So then it becomes a very mission-specific book. It becomes Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman assessing this situation. Who's good for this?
Yeah.
Who are the best heroes we can send in for this thing? And making it there's always going to be like 2 or 3 different stories going on at the same time, and you're going to see all the characters, the B and C and D listers that you love, that I'm going to find a way to elevate because I love all those characters. It's going to be a lot of fun, and Dan's going to draw the hell out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That Watchtower design just you could see people's faces melting in that room as that was up on the screen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to chat today. Enjoy the rest of your con.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?